All right, let's now turn our attention to the visit of the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is in India for an extremely crucial and an important visit. Now, this, of course, is a visit that comes at a very crucial juncture where, remember, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has signed aid deals worth almost about $20 billion with Pakistan, and it is in the aftermath of this that he, of course, is coming to India. So one of the key issues which will be on the table will be terrorism besides energy security. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had also visited Riyadh in the year 2016, and which, of course, had given a big boost to the security and the economic ties that India and Saudi Arabia share. Now, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's visit is being seen as a big opportunity for the two nations to put pressure on Islamabad to turn off the terror tap. So there we see the Saudi Crown Prince on our screens meeting with the Indian President Ramnath Kovind, and accompanying him is India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, giving the Saudi Crown Prince one of his usual trademark hugs, which is now known as a Modi hug. So it is an important visit by the Saudi Crown Prince, and this, of course, is a visit which will go on to strengthen the bilateral relations between the two nations.
Thank you, sir.
Minister is going to be given a guard of honor at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. All right, so this is the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is in India. This, of course, is his first state visit to India, and this is a crucial opportunity for both the nations to strengthen their bilateral relations. Now, one of the issues which, of course, will be on the agenda is trade. All right, so on our screens is the 33-year-old Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. There again shaking hands with the Indian president. Now, a lot of issues are in fact on the anvil besides trade and terrorism. Because remember, the Saudi Crown Prince in the last few months has in fact been beleaguered, and his image has of course in the international arena taken a beating after the gruesome murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Now, this visit by the Saudi Crown Prince is also being seen as a sort of an image correction exercise as well. However, a $20 billion trade deal was signed by the Saudi Crown Prince, where he's offered trade to Pakistan. And this, of course, will be one of those issues that will be brought up. Besides this, while in India, he will be inking several important deals. One of those are the investments, the Saudi investments in India's National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. And also remember, the Saudi Crown Prince has chalked out what he has described as the Saudi Vision 2030, a document which seeks to take the Arab nation away from an oil-driven economy. Predominantly, Saudi Arabia earns a lot of its money essentially by exporting the crude oil that it has. And this is something which the Saudi Crown Prince has vowed to now diversify in terms of how the Saudi economy operates. And one of the key issues which of course will be looked at is the increasing bilateral trade between the two nations, besides the obvious issue of security that the two leaders will be discussing. And apart from this, there are other issues which will of course come up. There is the establishment of the Saudi-Indian Supreme Coordination Council that is to take place as a part of the visit by the Saudi Crown Prince. And Saudi Arabia, a country which is pretty rich with its finances, it's trying to diversify itself. It wants to emerge as a knowledge-driven economy, and we expect the Saudi Crown Prince to in fact say a few words. Let's listen in to what he may have to say.
We're very glad to be in India. The relation between India and the Arabian Peninsula, which Saudi Arabia represents around 80% of the Arabian Peninsula, it goes to thousands of years of history, even before history is written. So the relation between India and the Arabian Peninsula, it's in our DNA in Saudi Arabia. And since we remember ourselves, we know Indian people, they are as a friend, and they are part of building Saudi Arabia in the past 70 years. And I believe also there is a lot of Saudi work and develop a lot of things in India for hundreds of years. And this trip we will just show a few examples of those Saudis who work in India from hundreds of years and really contribute in a good way in India. And today we want to be sure that this relation is maintained and improved for the sake of both countries. And with the leadership of Mr. President and Mr. Prime Minister, I'm sure we can create good things for Saudi Arabia and India. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please.
All right, so that was the Saudi Crown Prince there, 33-year-old Mohammed bin Salman, reiterating the ancient ties that India and the Saudi Peninsula, of course, share. He also stated that there is a lot of cooperation that is already in existence between India and Saudi Arabia. And besides this, he also said that there is room for greater cooperation in terms of how the two nations can in fact come together to address several pressing issues that in fact bother the nation. And he also went on to emphasize and highlight the role of the Indian workers in a lot of the infrastructure work that is carried out in Saudi Arabia. So this, of course, is going to be a very crucial visit. This is the first visit by the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman after he has effectively become the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. And there are several issues which, of course, will be on the anvil. And one of the key aspects of this visit will be the establishment of the Saudi-Indian Supreme Coordination Council that will take place as a part of this visit. And besides this, there are several MOUs which are on the anvil. Now, Saudi has expressed its interest to invest in India's National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. How much of the Saudi money is now going to come in and invest in the Indian National Investment and Infrastructure Fund? This, of course, will have to be seen. Besides this, there are other obvious issues in terms of expanding India's relationship between Saudi Arabia. Remember, this also is an exercise that is a part of the image correction for the Saudi Crown Prince after the gruesome murder of the Saudi dissident journalist Jamal Khashoggi. All right, now for more on this, we are joined in by my colleague Siddhant Sibil, who's been tracking all the developments very closely for us from the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Good morning to you, Siddhant. Now, this is a very significant visit by the Saudi Crown Prince, who is in India. Give us a sense of what is on the agenda today.
Well, Mohammed, the ceremonial reception is over just a short while ago. I'm standing in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and we saw the warmth in the relationship, the hug, the second hug in last 12 hours between the Indian Prime Minister and the Saudi Crown Prince. We know that the Indian Prime Minister broke the protocol and received him at the airport. And today morning, also just 15 minutes ago, we saw him giving that warm hug. But deliverables will be something that will be the key focus. We saw how the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince also spoke at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, talking about the close relationship between India and Arabian Peninsula, talking about the genetic connection between both the countries, India and Saudi Arabia. Key deliverable is expected to be on the issue of terror, on the issue of trade, and on the issue of Indian community. We know on the issue of terror is something that is dominating the agenda, especially in the aftermath of the Pulwama terror attack, which took place last week, in which India lost 40 CRPF personnel. India will be asking Riyadh to make sure pressure is mounted on Islamabad so that Islamabad takes a strong action on the issue of terror, which it hasn't been doing for a pretty long time. What Saudi Arabia can do is to tighten the purse strings when it comes to Islamabad. We know that the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince was in Pakistan just one day ago, even though he went directly back to Riyadh, and from Riyadh he came back to India, sending a signal of dehyphenation. What Saudi Arabia can do is to tighten the purse strings and send a message across that if Islamabad doesn't rein in on the terror groups on its territory, there might be difficulty for Islamabad when its economy is already facing the pressure.
Absolutely, indeed. And also, Siddhant, there are several contentious issues as well. Like you said, the aid deal that's been signed by Mohammed bin Salman with Pakistan, $20 billion at a time when Pakistan is in fact in some pretty dire financial straits. Now, this is a visit by the Saudi Crown Prince that's also being talked about as a sort of a image correction for the Saudi Crown Prince, because this is one of the important visits that he's making after that gruesome murder of Jamal Khashoggi, where the finger of suspicion is being pointed towards Saudi Arabia. So how much of this visit by the Saudi Crown Prince is being looked at as an exercise in image correction?
Well, very true. As you mentioned, a visit in image correction towards Asia. Earlier, the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince was looking towards the West, towards Western allies, especially United States. But after the Khashoggi killing, we know what has happened. There is a change in policy in Saudi Arabia. The country is now looking towards the East, especially towards Asia, whether it's India or China. Because remember, after his visit to India, he will be going to China. And from India and China, we know that there are trading ties. Saudi Arabia is the fourth largest trading partner of New Delhi, and with China also big trade partnership between Saudi Arabia and Beijing. Also, both the countries are emerging economies, one of the largest economies, and consume a lot of oil. India gets approximately 20% of its oil needs from the West Asian countries. Clearly, it's a win-win situation between Riyadh and New Delhi, Riyadh and Beijing, and that is why now the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince is looking towards Asia. And also, let me tell you that India is one of the 4 strategic partners of Saudi Arabia. Other 4 in the Asian region are China, Beijing, Tokyo and Seoul, other than New Delhi. So clearly It shows that growing ties between Riyadh and Asia, especially in the aftermath of the Khashoggi killing. A visit in image correction does of course matters, and that is why he's looking towards the East countries, which of course are eager to have trading partnership with Riyadh.
Absolutely, indeed. We'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibil, for joining us and getting us the latest on this story. We'll of course keep coming back to you as the events unfold through the day.